Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my platform, Astral Jewels. I'm going to go through what's going to happen in December in terms of forces. But just before I do that, I'm just letting you know that via my website, there is a myriad of recordings that I have already done. And I'm going through the planetary forces, and I've just finished up to Pluto. Pluto Extras was done last week, and they are extremely popular. I'm getting into the esoteric knowledge of the forces and how they affect us one by one. So, from the Sun, Mercury, all the way through to Pluto. And next week, I will be doing Chiron. So, I don't present myself too much on YouTube. I'm basically just doing the predictions, but most of these recordings are through a different platform and they are available on Rumble, but you can get access to all of them via my website, astraljewels.com. Very easily labeled, easy to get to. So please enjoy them. There's been a lot of work that's gone into the details of forces and how they affect us. And there's a lot of really, really good knowledge there. So I hope you get to enjoy them. So now, today, we're going to go through what is happening in December. So I'm just going to bring up the first slide, guys. So we can see that, now remember, I am a sidereal astrologer, not a tropical astrologer. So if you find that these dates are not to your liking, you're in the wrong spot. I do sidereal because it aligns with the sky, and through my work with planetary forces, when I do chart readings, the sidereal model works beautifully in terms of the planetary forces in their constellations and how they relate to a person's psyche, their personality, their character traits. So I'm just going back over that. If you don't like it, you're in the wrong spot. So sidereal, it's in line with the sky. And currently we have got the Sun in Scorpio, and that's from the 17th of November to the 15th of December. As mentioned in the previous review, and at the beginning of November, we have a period of revealing that which has been hidden, and also the money you do not earn. And this could allude to the revaluation that we're all waiting with bated breath. This is the BRICS currency, everyone going over to gold back. This is possibly a time for that to happen. We have had big time windows where a lot of change has been enabled, a lot of time windows. And this is getting into the nitty-gritty of more time windows. So even if it doesn't happen, the window is open for it to take place. So we have until the 15th for this to ring true. For it to be before it goes out of Scorpio. More reveals are occurring. More arrests have been made in terms of people involved in pedophilia in Hollywood. That is going down. Now, you're not hearing that stuff through mainstream media, of course, but it is happening in the background. And if you want to go and delve, by all means, go and find the truth. Okay, mainstream media is not reporting on this stuff yet. Eventually it will be revealed. Okay, so more reveals, the digging up of secrets. This was, go and have a look at last month's live on the forces for November, and you'll get a rundown of what was actually going on at that time. Okay, so moving on. Currently, as early December, we've got the Sun in Scorpio, Sun conjunct Mars, Sun trine Chiron, Mars is square Saturn, Chiron is opposite Venus, Venus is trine Saturn. Mercury is in a sextile position to Venus. Mercury trine Jupiter. North node square Pluto. These are the big major things that I have pried out for December. And of course, some of these things, some of these forces were still in effect from November, and we're carrying through with some of these. And I'm highlighting what's going on as well. So as of the 1st of December, the Sun is conjunct Mars in Scorpio. The Sun is trine Chiron, which is still conjunct the North Node, which indicates destiny. And Mars is squaring Saturn. Saturn is in the 11th house, the house of friends, acquaintances, communities, and groups. With the square between Mars and Saturn, there is usually planned action happening. And we know that is the case on a global political level and on a personal level, as you sift through your friends and acquaintances and where you fit within your community, right? This is a big thing. It's been going on for quite a while, as you know, particularly in the last 3 years, but it's really being highlighted now. So just be aware of that. It's being highlighted, and we're coming up to Christmas. Interesting timing as well. So we have Chiron opposite Venus, with Venus also angled to Saturn and also Mercury. This is helping with the wounds associated with your communities and acquaintances. You could say Venus is softening the blow somewhat here. I would take the Venus as a sign of what you love and what you want. So what needs to happen. As it is angled to Chiron, it is definitely a time for pondering on your own needs. Make sure you know what you love, what you want, and what you need. This will help you with healing wounds of the past. Then we have Mercury sextile Venus and trine Jupiter, a fabulous set of forces for communication. Use them to your advantage. Communication. Speak up about what you love, what you need, and do it with buoyancy. Get it happening. There will be a lot of communication happening this month as Mercury and Jupiter are active. And of course, this is global and personal. So we know there's a lot of communication going on in the US, particularly with the whole nonsense between Biden and his son, Trump being court-martialed, so to speak, and what's happening as a result of that. So a lot of communication is going on. Sadly, because Pluto's been involved here, or Scorpio, it's hidden, and it's being hidden from us. So this eventually is going to come out, right? And that wouldn't surprise me if it's while the Sun is in Sagittarius. So from the 16th of December to the 14th of January, we have Sun in Sag. So Sagittarius is the constellation relating to truth and justice and long journeys or overseas travel. The alpha star is Caus Australis. So look that up and get your stellarium out, and that's the alpha star that you're looking for if you want to find Sagittarius in the sky. Might be easier to find Scorpio, which is way easy to find. It's a huge constellation in the sky, easy to find, and you'll find that Sagittarius is not far from the constellation of Scorpio. So being opposite Gemini, so Sagittarius is opposite Gemini, Sagittarians are often good with communication and can be direct and straight with language. It's like their arrow knows where to aim, and it is often high. So Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the king of the heavens. In terms of truth and justice, apply this to your own life. Check your integrity and those around you. For those who haven't started yet, this could be a jumping off point for awakening and beginning spiritual work. Because higher truths, justice. Jupiter often plays a role in people's awakening. It's the king of the heavens, remember. Okay. On December 8th, Mercury forms a trine with Jupiter in Taurus. So Jupiter adds expansion to the communication of Mercury, and with Jupiter in Taurus, it is likely to be quite practical, earthy, grounded conversations and plans. So Venus opposite Jupiter on the 10th of December. This combination is usually buoyant and, again, lovely. Many workplaces have their Christmas parties around this time. So the Venus-Jupiter influence is going to allow for, parties and enjoyment, which is what Venus and Jupiter can stand for. It's lovely stuff, and in big measure. Jupiter is quite jovial. So when you add that to Venus, it's a really lovely force. If people have got a Jupiter Venus in their chart, generally really beautiful people. You have to be careful, however, of overspending. Venus loves to spend. Jupiter maximizes this desire to spend. Right? Just be aware of that. Hopefully you've been able to resist those Black Friday sales, which, personally, I think it's just an absolute terrible way of taking more money off you. Unless you're really wise with it and you can make it work for you, then by all means go for it. But just be very careful of your Venus-Jupiter. So we've got the new moon is on the 13th of December and in the constellation of Scorpio. I remember I'm a sidereal astrologer, 23.4 degree difference. You've got to go into the previous sign. Okay, so mainstream, all you're hearing is the tropical stuff. And so you're thinking that it's in Sagittarius. Not true. The new moon is in Scorpio. So what needs to happen here? Aspiration time is to do with transformation. Anything to do with the depths of you that you have been smothering. It's got to come up. Start aspiring to have all these secret, dark, hidden traumas perhaps that you've not been dealing with. Scorpio, ruled by Pluto, will bring it up. It'll start happening. Okay, so aspire to go with the force. Go with the force. If you go against it, it's just going to make things so difficult. So go with it. And that starts on the 13th. So when you've got a new moon, the impulse for these aspirations can go for the entire month unless you want to do a yearly project. And so if you're going to do, a major project like building or transformation or whatever it is, you can start on a new moon. It doesn't have to end by the next full moon. It can go for the full year. It's totally up to you. But new moons are a good time to start things. Okay. So Mercury goes retrograde on the 15th of December to the 2nd of January. Now be careful with your Christmas preparations. Rule of thumb with Mercury retrograde is if you leave organization of things up to someone else, you may find things don't go as you like them to. Communication can go haywire. If you are going to delegate something to somebody else, keep your finger on the pulse. Check on the plans, the progress every now and then to make sure things are not getting stuffed up. If you don't, I've seen this happen many times. Things just go crazy. Okay, so just watch it. Retrogrades, they're generally a time for going inward with self-reflection. So if you have to go into party mode, make sure you have a handle on the preparations. Okay, be involved. Then what have we got? Venus is in opposition to Uranus exactly on December 21st to 22nd until the 26th. And this can herald in something new as you are particularly lively and wanting something different in your life. Just watch those dates from the 21st onward. Really interesting. Venus, Uranus, Chung can be very interesting. You might actually get what it is that you want if you've been waiting for something to happen. You've got your heart set on something. This could be a period of time when it takes off, when it explodes, it comes into being. Okay. It could be something that heralds in something different in your life. So there could be a sense of adventure in the space when it happens. Maybe this is a prelude to, a New Year's resolution for change in your life, right? So it's a good time to maybe get your thinking cap on and see, well, what is it that I want, and what is going to change? What do I want to change? Okay, so let's go on to the 23rd of December. There's a few changes in the wheel there. On the 23rd of December, just those changes first. We've got Sun, Mercury in an exact conjunction happening on the 23rd, I believe it is. Okay, so on the 23rd of December, that's the day after the solstice. The Sun and Mercury are in an exact conjunction at 6 degrees Sagittarius and trine Neptune, which is trine Venus, right? That's the Sun and Mercury doing this dance with both Neptune and Venus. Now, that in itself is an absolutely divine energy. That combination of energies is absolutely beautiful. You take them on higher mode, you've got this real sense of high connection, communication from this high connection coming through Mercury. Trine Neptune, when you've got a Sun-Neptune combination of any kind, that is very much a divine energy. It's often associated with the white eagle energy, right? It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then it's also angled to Venus. So there's this real feminine energy, this divine, beautiful, lovely, lovable energy that comes in with that. So at its present position, the galactic center, or the true center of the Milky Way galaxy, is almost exactly 6 degrees Sagittarius. And that's using the sidereal model, of course. Now, if you're using tropical, it's at 27 degrees Sagittarius. That's the center of the Milky Way. The summer solstice, which is going to happen in the southern hemisphere, that's the winter solstice for you guys up north. The summer solstice marks the day with the most daylight hours, and the winter the opposite, with the fewest daylight hours. And symbolically, this equates to a maximum of light, or the opportunity for maximum connection with the divine, which can represent a lovely day overall. So this is often a good day for meditation, but is often not undertaken because there is such a rush in preparation for Christmas. Everyone's stressed out and rushing around. And it's a shame. But if you can do it, take the time to do a meditation, a tune in, even if it's just 10 minutes on that day. You may be surprised at the results of connection during the solstice. it's one of those spiritual days. It's often overlooked, but you know, those people that do spiritual practices full on within communities and, you know, at ashrams, etc., they know the power of the solstice, and so they will make use of that. Okay, so just remember that. And the center of the Milky Way, that's full on, that's big. So Mercury and Mars, now this is being spoken about a bit, and you know, there's a little bit of you know, stress about this one. I'm not overly concerned about this force, but we've got Mercury and Mars square Neptune on the 27th and 28th at the same time as the full moon in Gemini. And this could represent either an awakening period as Mercury and Mars push through the Neptunian sleepiness of vagueness. So watch for misunderstandings in communication, which can happen with the Mars energy here, Mars and Mercury here. Because it could lead to arguments. So with the full moon in Gemini, this is a prime time for communication. And with the involvement of Mars, there could be arguments. The good side is that you may find it appropriate to speak out and speak up. Okay? And if that's a bit unusual in your environment, that's where the arguments could happen. But, you know, there's times where you've got to stand up to this assertiveness with your communication and say what you need to say, right? So just be aware at the end of the month. It's just, you know, of course, just before New Year's. What's going to happen in December? It's quite volatile. It's a bit up and down, soft in some ways, but it can be volatile in others. You know, it's all communication. What's right? What's integrity? What's justice? What's truth and justice in your own life? You know, it's easy to see it in politics, but when you apply it to your own life, this is where you've got to go. Because remember, you can only ever change your own self. You can't change communities. Only do it yourself. So you have to go inward and say, well, okay, how are my communication skills going? And you know, over the Christmas period, are things going to go wrong? Are we going to have a few problems with the whole communication? Who knows? We have to wait and see, hey? Have to wait and see. Okay, so what we've got now, we've just got to go through the retrogrades. So we've got some changes going on here, which is not so bad. So as mentioned above, watch out for the Mercury retrograde on the 13th and take control of organising what you need to. Okay, so just look at December. We've got Mercury is in retrograde on the 13th and stays that way until the 2nd. And then we've got Jupiter in retrograde as we speak. It's in retrograde, and that will be going out of the retrograde position on the December 31st, the end of December. Then Neptune on the 6th, it comes out of its retrograde, and Chiron, the wound, comes out of retrograde on the 27th. So Jupiter ends its retrograde phase on the 31st, and it's just in time for New Year's. Now, this should be a relief from holding yourself together during the Jupiter retrograde. You know, remember, we've had Pluto retrograde. We've had the last 6 months have just been full of retrogrades, and it's been really difficult for a lot of people because of where Pluto is currently in Capricorn, but it's in that T-square to the nodes, and it's been creating an enormous amount of tension for a lot of people. So this Jupiter being in retrograde at the same time was holding that buoyancy in, and so it could have felt really restricting. Remember Jupiter is about expansion and buoyancy. So when it moves forward on New Year's Eve, you should be able to feel that release of restriction. And you've been feeling that since September. It's just made the whole Pluto transformation bulldozer, digging up secrets, stuff you've tried to cover up and hold down. It's just been making sure that has been working, and it has. Every second person I speak to has been going through some form of difficulty with their life, and it's all about transforming it, right? The planets are not there to go after you and make your life miserable. It's the opposite. These are opportunities, windows for changing what you need to change, okay? And the forces have been absolutely full on this year. Okay, so Neptune goes forward on the 6th, and this may herald in the completion of a delusional period. And you may feel like you have awakened from a period of confusion. With Neptune, it's not always easy to comprehend what has taken place, and you don't know until you've come out of a phase. Do you find the sense of what has happened? You don't know until you've come out of it, and then you look back and go, oh my God, did that just happen? Right? That's what it can actually do to you. So take note and see how you feel about your sense of reality. Neptune can put you in phases of confusion and delusion, and your sense of reality is fully derailed. So you need to shake that off and go, what is real and what is not? Where's my head? What's my headspace like? All right. So on the 6th of December, it goes out of retrograde. It might be quite subtle, but just see what happens. See what you feel. Okay. And also Chiron goes forward on the 27th at the same time as the full moon in Gemini. Full moon is in Gemini, guys. So Pluto is still associated with the T-square, as I've said, to Chiron because of the angles to the nodes. So if you took the nodes away, Pluto would not be squaring Chiron, but Chiron and the nodes are conjunct, and so there is an association there, and it's still feelable. So when Chiron goes forward, be mindful of a release of energy, but also a flow of getting clarity on the problem that you've had. And you may already have that, but it's just like the release of a slingshot after being in a phase of tension. You may find an event occurs that will clearly enable you to release the blocks, but with clarity. So perhaps it will be as a result of family interactions over the Christmas period. If you've been in turmoil and had to deal with your wounds, this release may be quite pleasant. Right? Here's hoping for that. It depends on where you are at personally. If you've resisted and this release happens, you could find that you can have things like flu-like symptoms as your body is trying to release what it is you've been holding on to. So just be aware of that. That could happen, may not. Depends on where you are at and how you've been handling this T-square, the Chiron and the nodes and Pluto, because it's been full on, really, really full on for people. It's all about the wound and transformation, right? And your destiny, where you are heading. And if your wound has been holding you back, then this force has got in there and dug it up and is making you look at it. And for most people, it's really quite painful, because you don't want to look at yourself, but you have to look at yourself. Okay. So Notice Uranus is still in retrograde in Aries, and with Mercury also retrograde for the second half of December, watch for volatility in communications. Here we've got a second warning of this. Though they are not connected in an angle, still I'd suggest take notice because of their retrograde positions. This may also be a period for those potentially psychic people out there to make contact with higher realms. So remember, Uranus is a higher mode of Mercury. So together in retrograde, we may sense some intensity with connections. So Mercury is in Sagittarius. So seeking truth via communication is on the cards. So perhaps you will say more than you usually do while participating in Christmas festivities. It's going to be an interesting period. Now, if you want to know a bit more about, I've said that Uranus is in a higher mode of Mercury. I've covered these forces in lives that I've done, and they are available via my website at astraljules.com. So you can get a lot more information, so you can get clued in on the esoteric nature of forces and what they are doing to you personally in real time. And I guarantee they'll make sense. If you're into astrology in any way, and you know your psyche to a degree, and you want self-knowledge to know the self and what influences you, then I highly recommend that you go and have a look at these lives. Free of charge at this point, okay? So, to the end, nearly finished, guys. So again, we've got the new moon in Scorpio on the 13th of December. So an impulse there, you can only change yourself. Forget everyone else. Just do you, right? So Scorpio is about sex, drugs, rock and roll, things that are hidden, deep, occult forces. It's ruled by Pluto. It's about transformation. Okay, you go into the depths of yourself, and when that happens, something will rise up. It's the stirring of the mud. So the new moon there is a really good impulse to focus on your own transformation. Forget everyone else. It's really about you, right? And it's past time, over time, to actually make changes in our lives, right? Empowerment, self-empowerment's a big thing. Okay, and the full moon for December is on the 27th. And that's just after the solstice. I think it's going to be a really powerful full moon, I have to say. Being at the center of our galaxy, 6 degrees Sagittarius, and Mercury is involved in this conjunction and the full moon. So I'm just tuning in as to, I really think it's going to enlarge levels of communication. That's, I keep saying that, but there could be massive revealing of secrets that goes on here, or massive revealing of things that need to be revealed, as in justice. And we've been told about justice being needed to be done for a long time, but particularly this year, we've really been going into the whole justice thing in terms of politics, and I don't want to go over and over and over and over these things. You guys know what I'm talking about. But our world is changing, and it's not in the best place, and we need to do something about that. And all of those forces that have been going against humanity, that's what I'm talking about. What's been going against humanity? This has to be addressed, and justice needs to be done. Some of the horrid things that have been going on for humanity for hundreds of years need to change. So just watch out for the solstice. Do your aspirations on the 13th of December with the new moon. And even if the aspiration is for the absolute betterment of humanity, that would be a really good use of your time. And, may the forces really come down and shine on us. And I think it's a really good time for it. With this, the sun is angled to Neptune and Neptune angled to Venus. So absolutely beautiful, guys. All right, so there you have it. That's December. So I hope you've got something out of that. And may your Christmases be absolutely wonderful. And hopefully not too many arguments either. That would be really good. And let's look forward to an absolutely amazing 2024. It can all happen. We're going to make it happen. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening, and